The world number one just lost his composure on live television at a course he has won 2 years running, and the cameras caught every single word. This is not about a bad shot. This is about 20 PGA Tour wins, a man who has not finished outside the top 25 in a single event all season, a player the entire sport calls unflappable, and on hole 16 of the first round at Muirfield Village, Golf Channel and PGA Tour live microphones picked up a 90-second exchange with his caddy that the golf world has not stopped talking about for 6 days, and what Scottie Scheffler actually said is being completely misunderstood by everyone covering it. Honestly, I think what those mics captured is not a player cracking under pressure. It's a player telling us exactly what kind of year 2026 has been for someone the tour needs to be bulletproof. Did Scheffler cross a line with Ted Scott at the Memorial, or was this the most human thing the world number one has shown us in 3 years? Drop it in the comments right now. And if you want the full story of what this moment means for his US Open preparation at Shinnecock, subscribe, because the context nobody is giving you changes everything.
The Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village, June 5, 2026, first round. This is Scottie Scheffler's tournament, not just this year, not just last year. His tournament the way Augusta National becomes a player's course when they win it twice. Scheffler won the Memorial in 2024 and 2025. He was chasing a three-peat, something no player has done at Jack Nicklaus's tournament in its 52-year history. He entered the week as the defending champion, the world number one, 20-time PGA Tour winner, and the betting favorite at plus 315. The front nine went exactly as planned. Scheffler played the first 9 holes in 2 under par, clean, controlled. The signature Scheffler precision that makes analysts run out of superlatives. Then the back 9 happened. Bogey on the 10th, bogey on the 14th, back to even par, not a disaster, recoverable. Then the par 3 16th. According to Golf Channel's reporting, the 16th hole at Muirfield Village was playing as the 4th hardest hole of the day. It was playing into a tricky, swirling wind. Scheffler stood over his tee shot, committed to a 7-iron, flushed it, genuinely flushed it by his own description, and watched it drift left in the wind, take a hard bounce off the front of the green, and tumble into the water hazard. The ball should not have been in the water. By every measure Scheffler was working with at address, it should have been on the putting surface. The shot execution was clean. The shot result was a drop zone, a double bogey, and a first-round score of 1 over par 73. 6 shots back of the 4-way tie for the lead held by J.J. Spaun, Wyndham Clark, Tommy Fleetwood, and Ryan Gerard. What happened next is what the entire golf world is talking about. Standing on the tee box, watching his caddy Ted Scott begin to walk toward the drop zone, Scheffler said things, loudly, into live microphones positioned by a tour broadcast infrastructure specifically designed to capture moments exactly like this one. Golf Channel was rolling, PGA Tour Live was rolling, and every word that Scheffler directed at Scott, and at the situation, and at the sport itself in that moment, was heard by every viewer watching the afternoon feed. The clip circulated immediately. Social media had it within minutes. By Thursday night, it was on every golf podcast and highlight show in the English-speaking world. But here's what almost every outlet covering this story has gotten wrong. They reported what Scheffler said. They did not report what it meant.
Let's go through every word Scottie Scheffler said at the 16th hole at Muirfield Village, because the words themselves, in sequence, tell a completely different story than the meltdown headline that has been attached to this moment. Scottie Scheffler is a 2-time Masters champion, a 20-time PGA Tour winner, a man who, as Golf Digest noted in their reporting, has not finished outside the top 25 in a single PGA Tour event in all of 2026. He is the most statistically consistent player in professional golf by a wide margin, and he is famously, genuinely, not performatively, calm, faith-centered, measured. The player who got arrested at Valhalla in handcuffs during the 2024 PGA Championship and went straight back to the range to shoot 66 in round 3. This is not someone known for losing control. So when Golf Channel and PGA Tour live microphones caught him at the 16th tee box, here is exactly what he said, in sequence, as confirmed across multiple sourced reports. First, I never thought that was the one. I don't know what to do. Second, as Scott continued walking toward the drop zone, I can't hear a word you're saying. Third, I feel like that was a good shot. Now I'm in the water. Fourth, still following Scott, I absolutely flushed a 7-iron and we get the wind wrong and I'm in the water. And then the sentence that the mainstream golf press has quoted but not examined. I don't think you understand how frustrating that is. Like that was a good shot. To which Scott responded quietly, really was, flushed it, right on line, wind turning out of the right, God, really, stop right there. Ted Scott's response is the most important part of this exchange and nobody is leading with it. Scott did not defend a club selection. He did not dispute a yardage. He did not argue with Scheffler's characterization of the shot. He confirmed it, word for word. He said, really was, flushed it, right on line. That is not the response of a caddy who made a mistake. That is the response of a caddy who knows the shot was right, knows the execution was right, and is standing in the same disbelief as the player. The two of them were not fighting about a decision. They were both grappling with a result that defied the process that produced it. Imagine executing everything correctly, every step of the pre-shot routine, the wind read, the club selection, the commitment, the strike. You flush a 7-iron, you watch it fly, and for a split second you think it might be a hole-in-one, and then the wind shifts in the 3-second flight, not before, not when you were standing over it, but in the actual arc of the ball, and it drifts left and takes a bounce you never could have predicted and ends up in the water. You are now standing on a tee box having done everything right, staring at a hazard stake. Your caddy is walking toward the drop zone, cameras are on you, microphones are hot, and you are trying to process something that your brain genuinely cannot compute because the feedback loop between process and result has been completely severed. That is not a meltdown. That is a player whose competitive standards are so exacting that a well-struck ball in the water produces a kind of cognitive dissonance that the rest of us will never experience. Scheffler himself confirmed this in his post-round interview. He said, "All you can do is just try to hit good shots. It can be very frustrating sometimes when you feel like you're hitting good shots and then you're going to the drop zone. And then with a kind of weary self-awareness that didn't make any highlight, that's the thing that can be so frustrating about golf, is I striped one on the hole before that and I end up in the water." Did Scheffler cross a line with Ted Scott at the 16th hole, or is this exactly what elite competition looks like up close on a live microphone? And the problem is we've been sold a version of Scheffler that doesn't allow him to be human. And does it matter that Scott himself confirmed the shot was right? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.
Now let's talk about the 2026 season context, because what happened at the 16th hole at Muirfield Village was not an isolated incident. It was the visible surface of something that has been building all year. Golf Digest reporting captures it precisely. By Scottie Scheffler standards, it's been a frustrating season. Let that land for a moment. The player who has not finished outside the top 25 once in 2026. The player who opened the season by winning the American Express for his 20th PGA Tour title. The first player since Tiger Woods to reach 20 wins before turning 30. The player who, by the standards of literally any other player on the planet, is having a phenomenal year, and his own sports leading publication is calling it, by his standards, a frustrating season. That is the Scheffler paradox in one sentence. His floor is so high that anything short of winning feels like underperformance, and 2026 through the Memorial had produced exactly one win. One win in 2026 for Scottie Scheffler is what most PGA Tour players would describe as a career year. Patrick Cantlay has one win on his entire career resume that most fans remember. One win for Scheffler is a down year. He has won 5 times in 2025. He won 6 times in 2024. One win in 2026 through the Memorial, at the venue where he was trying for a historic three-peat, is not what the world number one was built for. And here is the part nobody is talking about. Scheffler won the American Express in January. That is his only 2026 win. Since that win, he has played through a season that included the arrest saga anniversary at the 2024 PGA Championship location, the driver testing controversy at this year's PGA Championship that put Scheffler's equipment at the center of a public confidentiality scandal, the Truist Championship skip amid growing questions about his schedule management, and a Memorial first round that opened with promise, collapsed on the back nine, and ended with a live microphone capturing the world number one saying, "I don't know what to do." A sentence that in context is about a 7-iron shot, but that could just as easily be a read on a season that hasn't like what he expected. You are Scottie Scheffler. You have 20 PGA Tour wins before your 30th birthday. You are the world number one. You are universally described as the most unflappable competitor in the sport. And in 2026, you have one win, a driver controversy that put your name in a confidentiality scandal you didn't create, a public scrutiny of your schedule management, a first round 73 in your own tournament, and then standing on a tee box with cameras rolling, the one thing you have always controlled, your composure, briefly, visibly, audibly escaped you. And the entire golf media treated it as a scandal. Scheffler finished the Memorial tied for 12th. He played 1 under in the final round. He was never a threat to win. He was never outside the top 25 either, because that is who he is even when the season is by his own definition frustrating. He then went to Shinnecock for a practice round and described the US Open venue with the kind of technical precision that tells you exactly where his head actually is. He said, "It's one of those courses where there's a ton of space out there, but the areas you have to hit into are quite small. So looking at tee balls where some of them are somewhat blind, the greens are going to play really small, especially if they get firm, and it should be a really challenging week." That is a competitor, not a player in crisis. A player analyzing his next challenge with forensic clarity 12 days before the most demanding major on the schedule.
Here is what the story actually about, and it is not about Scottie Scheffler's composure. The PGA Tour built an infrastructure specifically designed to capture moments like the one on the 16th hole at Muirfield Village. Walking camera operators, boom microphones positioned at approach distances that were invasive by historical standards, PGA Tour live feeds that run real-time unfiltered with audio that picks up player conversations that were previously private. The Tour sold this infrastructure to broadcast partners on the promise of authenticity. Get closer to the athletes, make the product feel real. And on June 5, 2026, at 3:47 p.m. Eastern Time, it worked exactly as designed. The world number one said something genuinely human and emotionally raw on a golf course where he had done everything correctly and the microphone was there. The Tour sold authenticity as a product feature. Then it watched its most valuable player be authentic, and the marketing department had a problem. Because the Scheffler brand is not built on raw emotion. It is built on faith, composure, control, and the quiet confidence of someone who never seems rattled. That brand is worth hundreds of millions of dollars in endorsements, sponsorships, and broadcast value to the PGA Tour's premium product pitch. And when it cracked, not beeply, not permanently, but visibly and audibly and on camera, every organization that has sold Scheffler the unflappable as a feature of the PGA Tour product felt the dissonance. Is there a point at which the PGA Tour's broadcast investment in closeness, in authenticity, in real access, in hot mics and walking cameras and live feeds actually undermines the brand value of the players those investments are supposed to showcase? And who manages that line? The tour? The player? The broadcasters? Nobody has a clean answer, because the clip from the 16th hole at Muirfield Village, both the most honest moment Scottie Scheffler has produced in 3 years of world #1 status and the most complicated one. Kevin Kisner is right that the context explains everything. Ted Scott absorbed it because he understood it. Scheffler recovered and finished tied for 12th and gave a forensically precise scouting report on Shinnecock that told you the competitor was still fully functioning. But the clip exists. It circulated, and it did so on infrastructure the tour built and the tour sold. The tour cannot market authenticity as a feature and then be surprised when authenticity is what it gets. Should the PGA Tour have tighter controls on when live mics are hot during player exchanges, or is total access the product and players need to know it and accept it? And does Scheffler's reaction change how you see him at the US Open? Drop your answer right now. Here is what happens next, and there is one specific moment that will determine the entire narrative of Scottie Scheffler's 2026 season. June 12th, the first tee at Shinnecock Hills. Scheffler has described the course with technical precision. He has taken his preparation week. He is, by every objective measure available, one of the favorites to win, because he does not finish outside the 25, because he has 4 majors, because his floor is so high that even his frustrating seasons produce results that would be career-defining for 95% of the field. But Shinnecock is not going to care about Scheffler's floor. Shinnecock is going to be firm and fast and narrow, and the USGA is going to put pins in locations that punish exactly the kind of confident commitment Scheffler brings to every shot. The 16th hole at Muirfield Village, where a perfectly struck 7-iron went into the water because the wind changed in 3 seconds, is a rehearsal for what the US Open does to every player who has convinced themselves they understand the course. The question Shinnecock is going to answer is whether the version of Scheffler the Memorial revealed, the one who says, "I don't know what to do," when the feedback loop breaks, can reattach process to result on the most punishing venue in major championship golf. The final verdict is simple. What happened at the 16th hole at Muirfield Village was not a meltdown. It was a window, and the US Open is going to tell us what was on the other side. If you want the full breakdown of what the world #1's preparation, his course analysis, and his 2026 form mean for his chances at Shinnecock Hills, subscribe, because the player who says he doesn't know what to do usually figures it out. And this story is not over.
Kevin Kisner is a former Ryder Cup player. He played 14 years on the PGA Tour. He is one of the most respected voices in the game on the mental side of elite competition. He is not someone who delivers hot takes. He delivers observations, usually on the 4Play podcast, that other players nod along to, because they recognize the accuracy from inside the ropes. When Kisner was asked about the Scheffler-Scott exchange at Muirfield Village, he did not pause. He said, "Man, I could go on this for hours. I've got so many stories and instances and things that have been said." And then he said something that should end the meltdown narrative entirely. But you've got to put yourself in Scottie's shoes, right? He is doing everything that he possibly can to hit a great golf shot, and he thinks he's pulled it off, and now he's playing 3 from 150 yards. It's just your mind is so jumbled at that moment in time. Like you can't process what just happened, because you stood over this tee shot, you had a great game plan with your teammates, and now you're in the water, and as you struck it and watched it fly, you thought you were making a hole-in-one or a 2. Then Kisner went further, and this is the part that should have been the headline. So like Teddy did everything he thought was right to help Scottie Scheffler. It makes him a whole lot less money that that ball went in the water than if it would have gone in the hole. So you really have to think of that when you're wanting to strangle this dude that you've hired to trust, and it doesn't work out. And then the meteorology of it. And it's an outdoor sport, man. There are variables, like the wind could pick up. How does he not know that they had the wind right when he struck it, and wrong in the 3-second flight? We have no idea if God swooped down and made the wind blow 9 miles an hour harder in that 3 seconds to make that ball go into the water. We have no idea if God swooped down. Kevin Kisner just told you everything you need to know about what happened on the 16th hole. The process was right, the execution was right. The wind, in the 3-second window between impact and landing, decided the outcome. And the player who had done everything correctly stood at a tee box, trying to explain to himself, to his caddy, and to the universe why correct execution was being punished. Ted Scott's own Caddie Network account posted footage of the incident. Scott let Scheffler vent. He absorbed it. He confirmed the shot was right. And 2 days later at the Memorial, photographs showed Scheffler and Scott preparing shots together on the 5th hole with the exact same professional body language and communication they have always had. Is Kevin Kisner right that context makes this completely understandable? Or did Scheffler set a standard for himself that means this kind of outburst, regardless of justification, reflects something the world #1 needs to manage differently?
And does the PGA Tour's broadcast infrastructure have any responsibility for what gets amplified when a mic is too close? Drop it below. Here is why this moment matters far beyond the 16th hole at Muirfield Village. And there is one specific date on the calendar where everything crystallizes. June 12, 2026, the US Open at Shinnecock Hills. Shinnecock Hills is the one major Scottie Scheffler has not won. 2 Masters, 1 PGA Championship, 1 Open Championship, 0 US Opens. That gap is the only gap left in a resume that, if completed, puts conversations about the greatest player of his generation into a completely different register. Consider the number. Scheffler has not finished outside the top 25 once in all of 2026. He has 20 PGA Tour wins before turning 30. He has won 4 majors. And yet, at the US Open, the only one that matters for the conversation he wants to be having, his record is not yet written. He has been in contention at Shinnecock before. He has studied the course. He took a scouting trip specifically to prepare for what the USGA will demand there. But Scheffler is going to Shinnecock under a set of circumstances that no studio analyst has fully described. He arrives without a win since January. He arrives having just been captured on national television, saying, "I don't know what to do" on a golf course, where by every objective measure, he knew exactly what to do. He arrives having taken the week before the major off, as he always does, which means the Memorial finish is the last competitive data point he carries into Southampton. The last time a world number 1 arrived at the US Open carrying a season-long frustration that didn't show up in results, but showed up in everything else, body language, press conference comments, on-course reactions, it was Rory McIlroy in 2012 at the Olympic Club. He shot 75-79 and missed the cut. Then he won the Open Championship 6 weeks later. Frustration and form are not the same thing. But Shinnecock, like the Olympic Club, is a course that magnifies what a player is trying to suppress. The 16th hole at Muirfield Village told us Scheffler is trying to suppress something. Shinnecock will find out what.